Yeah, yeah. You see a nigga soft, my first instinct is to lean on him. A weak nigga.
So, let's answer a pretty simple question. Is 212 megabytes of RAM still enough in 2016? To help me answer this question, I've got an very old Toshiba laptop. It's a Toshiba Satellite L20-182. This device came with Intel Celeron N processor 380, and standard for this device was 256 megabytes of RAM. This particular unit that I've got laying right here, I've got a bit of extended memory, I mean double of that, so 512 megabytes. Some other data that this device has is 40 gigabytes ATA drive, so none of that's SATA rubbish. 15-inch screen, up to 2 gigabytes of RAM. We of course don't have 2 gigabytes of RAM because we're not that modern. So let's take a closer look at this device and see what it's capable of.
So here is this beast. I'm sorry for the bad lighting in here. One of my desk lamps went off just a few days ago and I don't have a spare light bulb. So anyway, that's this device. Pretty massive for today's standards. Pretty well built actually. Just yesterday I take it apart to resolve a few issues with the screen that was flickering when moving the lid, and just for the sake of it cleaned the fan, applied new thermal paste, etc, etc. Let's take a look at the bottom of this device. Here we can see the actual model that I was talking about before. It draws for 3.32 amps at 19 volts, so pretty powerful. Right here is the fan and the CPU, memory, and under that lid is the old ATA hard drive that I was talking about. So let's take a look at the RAM. Let's take my trusty screwdriver and unscrew those two screws right here. Sorry for the unfocused camera, it's hard to do those two things at the same time. But anyway, here we go. First stick is actually a Samsung stick, 256 megabytes of RAM, of course DDR2. And the other stick underneath is also 256 megabytes of RAM, DDR2, CL4, and that all sums up to 520 megabytes of RAM. So let's see.
So what you can do on such a device? Certainly not install any more modern version of Windows, and by more modern I mean anything above Windows XP. As you can see on the screen right now, everything from Windows 7 up requires at least 1 gigabyte of RAM for the 32-bit version. And of course we have a 32-bit processor in this device, so we are installing a 32-bit version. So the only obvious choice is of course installing Windows XP, which is pretty boring because it's an old system, so of course it would perform pretty well on such a old hardware, but it lacks certain features that modern operating systems have. So I've decided to install Linux on this device, especially Ubuntu Linux, and see how it performs.
First of all, I won't bother installing any screen recording applications on it, because it would only consume more resources that are pretty limited on this device. So we will have to live with my camcording from my hand. So anyway, let's connect it to the power and start it up. After connecting it to the power, we can finally release the true power of this machine. So let's tap a power button. You can hear the fan starting up and the disk moving around, post logo, and in a couple of seconds we should see a Linux logo pop up. Of course, I forgot to show you those beautiful stickers down here. Intel Celeron M, designed for Windows XP. Awesome. So anyway, here's our Linux starting up. So let's talk about Linux on this device for a couple of minutes. First of all, as you know, I installed Ubuntu Linux, and using the default interface, which is Unity 3D, was just a terrible experience on this device. Even switching between windows took like 30 seconds. It's all because of those 3D effects that are on this interface. And this laptop is not capable of rendering them. So I decided to install Xphase 4, fully 2D interface, and it was a little better. So anyway, let's write down my password, hit enter, and see how it's logging into my account. And almost there. And here we go. We are on our desktop. We can start, for example, our file manager. Everything works okay, I would say. We can see up here our memory usage, CPU usage, swap, few temperatures, and stuff like that. So now that we've got it started, let's run some basic tests. To start up, we have our basic system monitor that is pre-installed with almost every version of Linux. We can see the CPU usage is around 15% when it's idling. Memory, that's another story. We have 180 megabytes already in use, so almost half. Swap is pretty empty. So let's, for example, start up our browser and see where it leads us to. I'm of course using the newest version of Firefox for Linux, so let's start. You can see the CPU usage going up, also the RAM usage is going up, and bam, here's our starting page of Ubuntu. So let's tab out to our system monitor, so we can see that we already, by using only empty browser, have almost 60% of RAM in use and a couple more megabytes on swap. So here's my setup. I've made the Firefox window a bit smaller so we can see all the graphs from our system monitor. So let's, for example, go to youtube.com. And exactly you can see here why this system wouldn't perform exactly well on today's standards. First of all, loading a page spikes our CPU to 100%, but our RAM is still holding up, and after the page loaded you can see that the CPU usage went down. So let's try starting some video from YouTube and see what's going on. Actually, the video works pretty smooth, I would say. Of course, the CPU is not happy about that, so it would start heating up in a couple of minutes. But you can see that video is working okay. Of course, this video player is a bit laggy. So, for example, if we decide to press pause, it's going to pause in a couple of seconds, but you can watch a video. But as you can see from the CPU usage, not do anything besides that. So let's, for example, load another page. I think that we're gonna start some pretty image heavy page like 9gag.com. It's not a page that I go very often to, but it just came up to my mind right now, so let's see. Of course, I left that other video post in the other tab. And here we go. It's loading. You can probably hear the fan kicking up and making a bit of noise, even though the whole system was cleaned just a few hours ago with a new thermal paste, etc. And right now, when you can see, it's still loading content of this page after our website loaded, which take a while, and I have a pretty fast internet connection, so it's not the issue with it. You can see that the CPU usage went down. You can see that swap memory is starting to fill up, so system is in a low memory mode. It knows that its free RAM memory is starting to go down, and it's starting to fill up the hard drive with what's supposed to be in RAM memory. But if you try scrolling the page, it's of course pretty laggy. You can see that every GIFs start to slow down our browser even more. So the conclusion for using internet, if it's only one tab and you are pretty patient, yeah, maybe it's okay. But for doing anything more, I wouldn't recommend it. So now let's take a look on a few other apps. See, after closing Firefox, almost all of the memory went away. So basically those two tabs were taking the whole memory. So for example, we can choose our, let's see, maybe something from graphics, document viewer, so you can see your PDFs. Let's start it up. And here it goes. So let's check some other applications, maybe something from the multimedia. Let's say we can start Rhythmbox, so we can listen to some sweet tunes. And here it goes. Of course, my library is empty, but I would assure you that it would play songs pretty well. And we can see that our RAM is not actually that stressed right now. So let's try one more application. Maybe something from education, LibreOffice Math. Let's see. It's the more RAM heavy software than these two others that we just started. So let's see how it performs. Here you can see it's starting up. You can see the hard disk diode lighting up. And here we go. We're inside the program. I'm not actually sure how to use it, but it's working.
So let's go to the conclusion. Is this kind of setup still fine to use? I would say, yeah, it is. If you're not expecting too much and if you have still a bit of patience, then I mean, why not? You can, as you saw, you can even watch YouTube videos, you can surf the internet. Of course, not too many tabs at the same time, but that's the reality of such a machine. You can easily open a few daily use applications at once, and they will all perform okay, because you can see that you had still a bit free memory. So, in my opinion, why not? People fly to the moon on much less powerful hardware. So, thank you for watching. See ya.